Hey, what's going on, good people? Armand Owens here once again with another episode of the Daily Unsung Leader. Hey, sorry I'm late. I know it's supposed to be here on Friday, not Monday. But that's what happens when your real job, catches up with your side thing, and then because you get, So I apologize for that. It was a busy week last week, so I try to make sure that I'm more consistent with putting out, the videos. So, and appreciate, the text and the feedback. It's like, hey man, where's the video? Friday at 7, shipmate. What's going on? Like I said, I apologize. But hey, today I want to go a little bit into a couple of different areas. Number one, I want to talk about something that's really not brought up in terms of these things combined, these things coupled in leadership, right? So number one, I want to talk a little bit about imagination, right? Why and how is imagination a vital part of leadership, right? Talk about imagination and leadership together. Why is that a big deal, and why is it that it is a very big limiting factor in your effectiveness to be the leader that you want to be? Well, I liken it to how a farmer goes and observes a piece of land, right? Because when that farmer goes out to look at that piece of land that he intends to put whatever crops they want to plant, there's nothing on that field. There is absolutely nothing that is visible. There's no sign other than, hey, I got maybe some good soil here. I'm not really sure. I'm really operating on faith. I'm really operating on, my imagination, right? Because if I just observe that field that does not have any current crops, that's full of weeds, that doesn't look as though it has any potential, then I'll walk away. That's not showing me anything right now. It's not showing me anything right now. Plus, it's full of weeds. That ground is a little bit shaky. And think about how we maybe early on in our leadership journeys have looked at our personnel, looked at our divisions, looked at our teams as though, I don't know, got some weeds growing. They're not as experienced. Their skills are still maybe not up to par where we want them. I don't know. If you stayed in that mindset, if you stayed viewing them through the lens of now, we will severely limit their potential. We'll severely limit the possibility of what could transpire, right? Because moving forward, that farmer says, hey, I don't care. I understand that there's weeds now. I understand that there's nothing now. But when I started to plant these seeds, when I started to cultivate that ground, what you see now is nowhere near what I see in my head for the possibility. So I bring my imagination to bear. That farmer has to have a vivid imagination. No. I don't see the weeds. I don't see the nothingness that exists now. No. I see the corn, right? I see the rutabagas. I see the watermelons. I see, all these things. I see all these possibilities right now. So as leaders, we have to challenge ourselves not to view our people through the lens of now. Because if we view our people solely through the lens of now, what's the potential of their futures? Because we are the ones that are entrusted with planting the seeds. We are the ones that's entrusted with tilling the ground. We are the ones that's entrusted with cultivating the water and cultivating the process in a way that creates an environment for optimal growth. And that requires an imagination. It requires you being able to see this young person full of energy and full of ignorance and see them as somebody of significant value that is going to be able to pick up on the information that you give them, pick up on the mentoring, that you lead them in, be able to fall and get back up, right? Because even when that farmer approaches that piece of ground, the very first thing that has to happen is that everything is removed. So what ends up happening is it begins to look even worse than it did when you first came up on it, because now you got to take everything out, and now it's nothing but dirt. That's the opportunity. That's where the vision begins to become even clearer. And it's the same way with your division, with your team, right? Because they come to you with their weeds, they come to you with their issues, with their obstacles, with their limitations, right? And it's the leader's challenge, right, to start to wipe those things out of their perspective and to start building them back up, right? Because it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. But just like anything that grows, you must first go down before you come up. So it's going to get a little bit worse. That means it's going to be hard. But guess what? Leadership, that's what leadership is. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard, though. That's what sacrifice is, right? And you sacrifice that now vision, what you see in front of you now, for the possibility of what's to come. Just like that farmer who walks up on that piece of land and sees nothing but weeds, sees nothing but limitations, sees nothing but obstacles, has to throw the lens of now away, pick up the future lens that's covered with imagination, and see the best version of that field, and see the best version, leader, of that person, of that team, of that division. And this is a constant thing that has to go, because over time, just like that field, your people are going to show you difficulties. They're gonna bring problems. Just like we can't predict, that farmer can't predict when the rain is gonna fall, right? But we have to adapt. We have to overcome. We have to be flexible, right? But if we don't start with that outcome, we don't start with that initial vision for what we want our people to be through the utilization of our imagination, we will never, ever get there. So we have to chart that path in our minds first. What do we want our people to look like? What do we want our people to know? Who do we want our people to be? What kind of environment, what kind of field do you want to cultivate? What kind of environment do you want to cultivate for your people to have ultimate growth? And that starts with, first, an imagination, a vision for your people. So, and this is not a one-time thing. This is habitual. These are some of the habits that you have to have as a leader, right? Because there's some days where you're going to get the evidence from your people that show you that absolutely not, they are not going to be the people that you think they're going to be. And that's when you double down on the vision. All right, I know they're not showing me what I'm hoping for, but I'm going to stand fast. I'm going to continue to believe. I'm going to continue to give them my best. I'm going to continue to put my best foot forward into helping them get to the place where I see them. Hey, and sometimes it may not be during your tenure. It may be, hey, you're the one that's planting the seed and you only got a small bit of evidence. And the next person comes in after you and continues to water it, and they mature. So you may not even see the full fruition, the full completion, of that inevitable vision. But you have to plant that seed, you have to cultivate it, you have to water it, and not neglect it. That's why imagination is so huge in leadership. Because oftentimes, That vision that you have for your people is the first time that somebody has actually believed the best about them. That vision that you have for that person means it may be the first time that somebody's put a bit of encouragement into their lives. Maybe the first time they've been watered. It's maybe the first time somebody's moved them, into the sun. Be that for somebody else. Be that for your team. Because that's what real leaders, that's what unsung leaders do. So, I appreciate you listening. Hey, like, share, comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Make sure you're cultivating your imagination out there. See the best for your people. And also, make sure you're seeing the best for yourself too. All right? Make sure you're cultivating the vision for yourself. That while you may not be there, you have a path to go. You're not your worst. It's going to get better. I promise you. Unsung Leader out. Peace.